guess those were the major impetuses, if that is a correct language, for me coming forward now. And if you notice, I call names, not out of spite or anger or anything like that, but it is to give veracity and truth to what I'm saying, because I couldn't possibly call those names if I would be opening up myself to litigation.
Yes, yeah.
And therefore, for me to call those names, it means that probably what she's saying is true.
And there are other people saying there were others.
And I beg, this is what I'd like to use, because someone said to me, a former colleague of mine, and I want to end by, please, $100 million was spent on that commission of inquiry, or thereabouts. It was finished in 2011. It was handed to the Prime Minister in 2016. He said pre-action publicity. But Mr. Monti, who's one of the key players, has been sued successfully for $98 million. The Bob Lindquist report was used, which was completed whilst I was still in office, and I was very anxious for it to be completed. Was completed, and he said that was used to assist in any action that they were taking against both Mr. Monti and Mr. Dupree, but I don't know where that has reached. But the point I'm making is the information is out there. So who are you protecting? What you're doing is leaving it out there for people to say that I did something wrong. Because Mr. Faris Alwari, who was not even a minister, who was just on the board of HDC, you mentioned that his name was unmentioned. By omission, or not mentioning me, and that you said that there were terrible things, and his file was sent to the DPP, which means that criminal wrongdoing was found. By doing things like that, obviously what you have done to a member of the party at the time, regardless of whether you and I were on good terms or not, I was a member of the party. What you were doing to me was to say that I'm not mentioning her name because I can't. And the reason I can't, because there might be something about her. And I want to say to the public, please, Mr. Prime Minister, please, I beg you. I got Mr. Kwamina, who at that time wrote to the DPP to ask him to write.
That's one of his attorneys.
Yeah, but at that time he wasn't.
No, I'm just saying. Yeah.
Yes, he's not one of his attorneys. But at the time, I got Mr. Kwamina to write to the DPP to release it. I saw that I wrote an article in 2022 begging him to release it. And then most recently with the Proman issue in 2023, just a few months ago, I again asked him. I couldn't be asking you to release it if I was not confident that there was nothing. And the reason you're not releasing it is because you want people to continue to have those question marks over my head. When they went after you about your birth and who was your birth, you were rightfully angered, and the country supported you, that people could say those things about you and your mother. You felt aggrieved, rightfully so. Can't you understand that this is what you have done? And it is not fair. Release it. We have spent the money. If you have, there's nothing to hide. And the country paid for it. And I am saying I am innocent. Let it out.
And then let there be any challenge.
Let the country judge me. Don't hold on to it like that. This is 8 years now, and you won't release it. Please, Mr. Prime Minister, release the commission of inquiry.
What do you think will happen going forward now?
Well, he's not going to do it, because I've never seen a report, by the way, but I suspect, based on having participated in it and knowing things that I would have known, that there are people that he probably would want to protect. You would not, when I say protect, you wouldn't want whatever Mr. Coleman may have said, may have been very harsh criticism, and, probably wouldn't want to do that. And he certainly would not want to have me exonerated, because the one little thing they hold on to with me is that, because I have never heard anything else about me. The one little thing they hold on to is that. And if they can't have that to hold on to, what are they going to hold on to again? Yeah,
and you don't think the incident, if you call it an incident, a couple of weeks ago, would sort of taint or tarnish what you're seeking to do now?
But it's a matter of, as you call POV point of view. A lot of people say political activism. And of course, I don't really want to, persecute
right.
that issue again.
Prosecute
it. Right, and persecute it also. But I don't really want to do that, because I don't like to go down into, I don't like to go, I I prefer not to, to keep some of my views, which I know are pretty accurate because I served in a Manning administration with some of these people, and I also served with Mr. Brown, and also with the current Prime Minister, with whom I had a good relationship as far as I was aware. I served with Mr. Imbert, so I have a view. I certainly couldn't have stormed if I wasn't allowed to come up there. You know, I don't want to get the police in trouble. You know, it's like if you're getting them in trouble, you're saying, well, why you let her come up the road? Why you let her park the car? Why you allowed her to come over? We did it because we wanted to be there before the procession reached. And I did write, by the way, I have a good relationship with Michaela. I was away, and on January 2nd, I did send her, because I have her number, my commiserations, and she responded the same day. So, and I was never intended, I never wanted to go in the auditorium. I said I was going because I wanted to make sure when I saw Michaela, I could tell Michaela I went to your father's funeral. But I thought it was an insult to the president, former president, and I know efforts were made to have him come. I think 4 efforts were made, and none were responded, and is the correct grammar. And so it was just, it's just sort of a, how do you call it? It was just organic. Someone says, well, you know, you can't go down there now, you know, because the procession on its way. So you can't stop the procession, and it's, you know, you could go over the fence. I say, well, okay, well, let's do it before and see if we can get you in the auditorium. And at that point in time, I don't think Mr. Brown was happy, Minister Brown was happy about it. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, and I deliberately don't want to interrogate it any further because that's what we
so we just say it's a point of view. Some people say political activism, some people respect me for doing it, some people say, how could she do that? It's all different points of view, and it is what it is.
Yeah. But going back to this matter, you feel sort of a load has been gotten off your chest? It's up.
Well, the load will come off my chest when the Prime Minister releases the Commission of Inquiry. And and you have to ask yourself why he won't. Why won't he? The Bob Lindquist report was finished before I left, you know. We made sure, because I would meet with the governor every Friday, and I never saw it because on principle I didn't want to see it. But I had a good idea what was in there. And a lot of people who got money should not have gotten money. But remember, we lost the elections in May 2010. So whatever happened after that, I played no part. Yeah. Things were going well. I think they had a lot of confidence in the governor, as they should. People who had 250,000 and less were getting their money. And I think the other creditors took the view, oh, you would get 5 cents on the dollar or wait for things to recover. Because remember, a lot of the assets were the methanol, a lot of the assets were energy related, and we know there's volatility in those assets. So there was a feeling that with time they would have recovered, and Kiko and CL Financial would have gotten by the company. It was never the intention, at least at the time, but you know, things happen and they happen, and I wasn't there after 2010. But I don't think there was ever the view to hold on to CL Financial. What the view was, you're not going to come to us, dash out taxpayers' money and say, no, that's not going to happen. And in fact, I could tell you this, I hope the Prime Minister, wherever he is, will understand and forgive, if forgive is the word. He did call me 6:30 in the morning and said to me, is there any way I can help out? I don't want to call the name, but you can guess who he might have asked me to help out. And I said, no way.
This Prime Minister?
Manning.
Okay.
No, I don't have any, not that I have any, I mean, I'm talking about at the time when all this was going on.
All right.
And we said who were third parties, and certain people did not qualify as third parties. Current COEs, past CEOs, chairmen of CIB, their spouses, children, so the whole set of people fell into that group. I would have fallen into that group, by the way, because I didn't know that, but the governor said, you know, you'd fall in that group. I said, why? He said, because you had shares in, which I had inherited from my husband. Yeah. But my parents would have been third parties, and they certainly had far more in CIB than I had, far, far more. In any event, so I got a call to see if I could help out somebody who obviously did not qualify as a third party. And I said, no way.
It wasn't possible.
I said, no. I said, no. I said, I'm not going to do that. I said, because...
No, that's what I mean, you know...
Well, I don't know if it's not possible. In politics, a lot of things possible.
Right, but it wasn't the correct thing to do.
Well, I said, I'm not doing it, because that person is to align to the PNM. And when the mark bus, as it will, people will say, I did it because of that. And I am not prepared to do that. And then everybody will run and scatter and leave me and say why I was so stupid to do that. I never heard another word about it again.
All right, we're going to have to leave it there. But
Right.
tell me how you feel like a load has been lifted off you.
My load will be, well, it was good speaking about it and me able to call names. And the calling the names not to hurt anybody, but for people to know that the veracity, the truthfulness of what I'm saying. And I would feel vindicated if the Prime Minister would release the Commission of Inquiry report.
Yeah, on both counts, on your count and on that, probably better late than never.
True.
Karen Eunice Teixeira, thank you very much. This has been 10 Questions. I'm Andy Johnston. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Yo, it's Rome! And this year we want to have a safe carnival just like every other carnival. So this year we're talking a smart carnival. We're talking safety measures against real threats. We're going to vet smart, we're going to play smart, and move smart because it's all about rum, girl, and money. Not that no call way, no time for folly. We jamming all day.
Jamming on the roadway. If you see me in a Benz or a Beamer, hustle hard for me.
The newest book is here, Closer to the Church, the debut novel by author and former mayor Louis Lee Singh. Available at all the Home Store branches, Barataria, West Mall, Shogunas and C3 San Fernando. Paper-based bookshop 10 Nook Avenue St. Anne's, WESN 30A Gattaca Street Woodbrook, Metropolitan Bookshop Ariapita Avenue Woodbrook, and all RIK bookstores nationwide. Available online as paperback on Amazon.com and Kindle for e-readers. For more info, call 628-5835 or 389-6504. Also available from author Louis Lee Singh, I Used to Live in Heaven, Letters to My Granddaughters, and Local Government in Trinidad, Conspiracy Against the People. FanZone, your reliable, authentic supplier, has just gotten better. You can now visit our website www.fanzonett.com for your authentic wear and collectibles. The only place where you can use both your Visa debit and credit cards. Visit our website fanzonett.com to make your purchase today.
Every word, every line, every paragraph depicts a real moment in someone's life. A father, a sister, a mother, a brother. We at Newsday are dedicated to you, the people, and through independent, unwavering journalism, strive to always bring your stories to life. Because your stories are more than just words. Newsday, independent and credible.
We are WESN, the premier platform for Caribbean content. WESN, covering West, East, South, and North. WESN, we entertainment, sports, and news. WESN, available on Greendot 7, Amplia 118, Airlink 17, Bmobile 107, Digicel 21, ICNTT 105, and Flow 110. Connect with us at WESNCC or stream online at www.wesncc.com. WESN, your premier platform for Caribbean content.
The anger at Biden's pro-Israel policies was palpable during his visit. Pro-Palestinian protesters accused him of supporting a genocide in Gaza, demonstrating near his meeting with members of the United Auto Workers Union. James Mulholland takes a closer look.
A bid to capitalize on a major endorsement from the United Auto Workers. Joe Biden took his campaign to Motor City, Detroit, Michigan, a key battleground state in the race to the White House. The president hailed organized labor for making the U.S. the world's strongest economy.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Wall Street didn't build the middle class. Labor built the middle class, and the middle class built the country.
UAW chief Shawn Fain encouraged workers to fight like hell to keep Biden in the White House. But outside, the tune was decidedly different.
Biden, Biden, what do you say?
Another key demographic in the union-heavy state is the Arab American community, one of the country's largest. And among them, Biden's support for Israel's war in Gaza has seen his popularity nosedive from 59% to just 17%, according to a recent poll.
We're disgusted by how the Biden administration is handling the situation. They're continuing to be complicit in this genocide.
Not Trump, not Biden. I will vote, but not for both of them.
Coinciding with his visit to Michigan, Biden slapped unprecedented sanctions on 4 Israeli settlers accused of violence in the occupied West Bank, in an apparent move to lure back Arab American voters. Biden won Michigan in 2020, but his margin of victory over Donald Trump was less than 3%. Arab Americans account for 5% of the state's vote.
United States of America.
French farmers starting to lift their highway blockades Friday, taking their convoys of tractors back home. This after the French government offered over 400 million euros worth of aid and tax breaks, as well as legislative changes. Still, the farmers' unions say they will be keeping a close eye on whether the government keeps its promises. And another promise made by the French government is to increase the number of checks in supermarkets against fraud, namely ensuring that products labeled made in France really are made in France. Solange Moujon explains.
Getting paid a fair price for your labor, making sure supermarket chains and distributors aren't cheating. These are two of the main sources of anger among French farmers. And to quell their protests, the government has vowed to roll out hundreds of anti-fraud inspections by some 150 agents.
All of the major supermarket chains will be checked in the coming days. There will be no exceptions. Not a single contract will slip through the anti-fraud brigade's checks.
By stepping up inspections, the government hopes to bolster its so-called Egalim laws. These are rules meant to ensure that farmers receive a decent salary, despite the common pricing battles between supermarket chains and distributors. These anti-fraud agents are checking country of origin labels.
We look at the invoices and the delivery stubs to trace the whole process to ensure that products that are sold as made in France actually were.
They're also checking to see if expiration dates are being respected.
The sell date is good, and yes, there's the French stamp. It's good.
Unfair competition can easily be found, though. Certain bottles of wine, for example, seem French at first.
You say to yourself, I'm going to buy French wine, but the reality is the back label says it's European, and the label rules are that all the information must be seen in a single look.
Making products look like they're made in France when they aren't. Unclear labeling, hidden or unrespected contracts. These are just a few of the methods that could trick consumers and potentially hurt French farmers.
A terrifying gas explosion in Kenya's capital has killed at least 3 people and injured more than 270 others. Just before midnight, a truck loaded with fuel ignited into a huge fireball that burned homes and warehouses. Olivia Bizot reports from Nairobi.
I'm here in Embakasi, the neighbourhood of Nairobi where the fire took place. You can see behind me the level and the scale of the destruction. Everything in the area has been completely burnt. A handful of people were killed in the fire, while hundreds more were injured. I've spoken to a lot of people here who are waiting to be sent to hospital, while many more have lost their homes, they've lost their livelihoods, they've lost their companies that have been completely destroyed by the fire. They have nowhere to